The regular meeting of the Lake Placid Town Council this 8th day of April 2024 in the Government Center of the great town of Lake Placid. I'd ask everybody to make sure your phones are either off or on vibrate. And at this time, I'll ask everybody to please rise. We have the honor of having with us Reverend Drew Severinson from the First Presbyterian Church, who's going to lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Thank you for y'all's service. Thank you for this privilege to pray. Bow your heads. Father, we thank you for this wonderful community that we live in. We thank you for those that you have raised up to serve this community. It's not an easy job. Tonight is a special night. We have a kind of a changing of the guard. Father, we thank you for those that have rolled off. We thank you for the folks that are coming on new. Father, help them to be, by your grace and Holy Spirit, help them to be servants. Help them to lead and serve well. Help them to be humble, utterly dependent upon you and your wisdom. Help them to be unified and work together and work with others in our community. And Father, above all, that they would seek to do what's best for the people they serve, and that they would seek to bring you glory. And we pray these things in the matchless name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor, are we going to do the administration of the oath of office first?
Okay, you want to do that first? Okay. All right, this time we'll ask Reverend Norris from the Lutheran Church here in Lake Placid to come forward. He's going to administration of the oath of office for newly elected members of the Town Council, Joy Eberhardt and Colleen Charles.
George Gary. Put your hand on the Bible. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Colleen Charles,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and the government of the United States,
the state of Florida, and the town of Lake Placid,
the state of Florida, and the town of Lake Placid,
against all enemies, domestic or foreign,
against all enemies, domestic and foreign,
that I will bear true faith,
that I will bear true faith,
loyalty, and allegiance to the same,
loyalty, and allegiance to the same,
and that I am entitled to hold office under the Constitution,
and I am entitled to hold office under the Constitution,
that I will faithfully perform all duties as a council member of the town of Lake Placid,
that I will faithfully perform all duties as a council member of the town of Lake Placid,
which I am about to enter, so help me God.
which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Okay?
Ready? I, Joy Eberhardt, do solemnly swear I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States, the state of Florida, and the town of Lake Placid, against all enemies, domestic and foreign, that I will bear true faith, loyalty, and allegiance to the same, and that I am entitled to hold office under the Constitution, that I will faithfully perform all duties as a council member for the town of Lake Placid,
That I will faithfully perform all duties as a council member of the town of Lake Placid,
which I am about to enter, so help me God. Congratulations.
Next one over. Now we'll do roll call.
Okay. Now, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Holbrook.
Here.
Councilmember Hayes.
Here.
Councilmember Worley.
Here.
Councilmember Charles.
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Here.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda number 1, A through I.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda 1, items A through I. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the podium? Hearing none, we'll take it to the audience. All right, seeing none, bring it back. Poll the council.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Councilmember Worley.
Yes.
Councilmember Charles.
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Yes.
Okay, under consent agenda number 2, I assume there are no items, okay? Okay, at this time, under presentations, we have with us tonight William Bill Trucano Jr. from the Children's Advocacy Center, who would like to read a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month in Florida.
Thank you for this opportunity to read this proclamation for the town council and to have you act on it. Proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month in Florida. Whereas Florida is committed to improving the lives of all Floridians and securing a better future for the citizens of this state, and whereas children who have adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, are at a higher risk of short and long-term physical, psychological, and behavioral challenges that can impact the individual child and the greater community, and whereas parents and caregivers who have resources and support are better equipped to give their children safe and nurturing experiences, and whereas children have better mental health and physical health and academic success when they are raised in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment, and whereas the Florida Department of Children and Families Secretary has a vision for holistic services by integrating systems and services, and whereas the state of Florida has established Hope Florida, a pathway to prosperity, a personalized approach to helping families overcome barriers to self-sufficiency through community collaboration, and whereas Floridians can call 850-300-HOPE to speak with a care navigator for support to develop a plan to achieve economic self-sufficiency, referrals to local partners, and help identifying goals and barriers in their lives. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida implements Pinwheels for Prevention, a statewide coordinated campaign to raise awareness of child abuse prevention efforts by teaching about healthy child development and positive parenting practices and establishing Circle of Parents peer support groups. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month provides everyone a chance to learn how they can play a role in preventing abuse and neglect, including adverse childhood experiences, and whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month reminds Floridians of all ages that they can help children increase positive childhood experiences which lead to happier, healthier childhoods.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the city of Lake Placid, Florida, does hereby extend my support to all observing April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Florida, done and adopted this 8th day of April 2024. and I will be proud to sign this.
Thank you, sir. We'd like to present the council with our pinwheels.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and I'll put this in front of my office.
Also under this, this was given to me tonight on Thursday, April 18th at the Mid-Florida Credit Union lobby at 611 East Interlake Boulevard here in Lake Placid. There'll be a joint legislative review with Senator Aaron Grawl, who has an office here in our building, and Representative Kaylee Tuck, as well as local other town representatives for a post-session legislation wrap-up. If anyone would like to attend that, you may. You need to RSVP by the 15th of April. I have a phone number here where you can call, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll lay it up here so you can see it afterwards, but all are welcome. Okay, where are we?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, my computer hates me. Can someone help me, please? My computer hates me.
All right, clerk, there's no public hearings. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm all set now.
All right, we'll go to the town attorney. You got anything tonight? Okay.
No, sir, just on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, any of my department heads? Planning's not here. She had surgery. Oh, no, she is here. Oh, welcome back. Okay. Glad to have you back with us. Okay. Town attorney? All right, I guess we got nothing till we get down to you, sir.
Okay. So item number one is a resolution 2024 regarding construction of the wastewater treatment facility improvements, which is in your packet. Give me a second. And I do have Roger Homan from Pannoni here that has the bids. If we want to go over the bids before the resolution, or however the mayor and the council wants to address it. So if we want to kind of walk through it, I don't know, either way you want to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read the title. Resolution number 2024-11 regarding construction of the wastewater treatment facility improvements.
So just as a background, we had, the bids were received last Friday, a week ago Friday. And I guess it may just be best to have Roger come up. Roger, if you want to kind of go through the bids, and it'll explain what's on the, it'll kind of cover what's in the resolution.
Good evening. Roger Homan with Pannoni Associates. With me is Jeff McKinney. He's the engineer of record on this project. Pannoni was under contract with the town to design the wastewater plant and also to assist with the bidding. And I'll go over the bids that were received. There were 3 bids received. The first one, which was the lowest bid, was from a company, Pool and Kent Company of Florida. Their bid amount was $34,417,000. The next bid was Wharton Smith Incorporated. Bid was $38,427,000. And the last bid, which was the highest, PwC Joint Venture LLC for $41,280,500. We tabulated all the bids. I believe you have them in your packets, and we're here to answer any questions.
Okay, we have any questions of these two?
I'd like to make a motion that the town council approve resolution number 2024-11 as attached to the agenda.
I second.
All right, we got a motion to second. Any comments from the podium?
I do. First of all, there are two things in this resolution. It should be split apart. It's talking about the contract signing, and it's also talking about an amendment to the grant. First of all, we can't sign the contract until there's an amendment to the grant, because the grant requires us to hook up X number of homes, and unless the grant is approved with an amendment, we're at risk of putting the town finances in charge by signing the contract.
Just a comment, yes, those are part of the grant agreement is conditional upon DEP approval. And so, yes, they have to approve the grant amendment before the contract can be signed. We're on a timeline, very tight timeline, because this money has to be spent by June of 2026. We only have literally a 90-day window. And so that's why we are requesting some leeway, because if DEP takes another month to approve the grant agreement, and then we have come back for approval and we start negotiating the contract at that point, we just wasted a 30-day window. So now our 90-day window comes down to 60. And so we're in a very tight window for construction, so we don't want to lose any of this money and make sure we construct the plant and get it done on time. So that's why these are put in one resolution.
Also, I reviewed the grant, and it's been under the assumption that there was a hard and fast deadline, and the provisions of the grant does allow for amending deadlines.
That is not my understanding. It has a,
I've got the grant right here.
I have been told by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection that the grant is a pass-on of federal funds, and that if not spent, they will lapse.
Okay, this is item D on the first page. This agreement may be amended through a formal amendment or a change order. A formal amendment to this agreement is required for changes which cause any of the following. Number 3, a change in the expiration date. That implies to me, if it's because it's listed here, it is available.
I appreciate the point, and it does say that. I'm not debating that. I've been told the federal funds lapse. I mean, they can't go beyond. The state can't extend the time period of the federal fund deadline.
Okay, well, we have a conundrum between what you were told and what I see in writing.
Okay? First of all, I agree with you. The contract should not be signed until the grant is amended. Absolutely correct. That is stated in the resolution. A condition, precondition to the mayor's signature on the contract is approval of the grant amendment to allow construction as listed in the resolution, construction of the plant, then the two, connecting the other two plants to decommission them as well. No lines are included in that.
Okay, I know no lines are included. That's another problem. There are grants that are out and pending for the lines, but what if they're not approved? We now have a plant that goes, the bridge to nowhere.
So the plant is not the plant combines 3 plants. Number one, it does the first very important thing. It builds a advanced wastewater treatment plant, which we will be required to do regardless as part of the permit requirements because we're in the BMAP. So we don't have a choice about whether we will build an advanced wastewater treatment plant. Size, timing, and funding may be an issue, but we have no choice about whether we will build an advanced wastewater treatment plant. It closes the Tomoka plant and the South plant and combines them. So immediately when it comes into operation, you will have over 300,000 gallons in flow into that plant. So it is a plant that will have, without line extensions and conversions, a lot of additional capacity, but it will be a fully functional advanced wastewater treatment plant. And it will meet the permit requirements that we're required to meet as part of the BMAP.
Okay, it's my understanding that the BMAP, that we're exempt because we're a rural economic opportunity zone.
That is not correct.
Okay. My other question with even signing this contract is this what the money, thank you, and thank you for doing the summary here for us about what is left on the $40,000. With past engineering and so forth, and without the cost of inspections yet, there's only $800,000 left to build the plant. That's with only a 5% contingency. I'm just very nervous that the town is going to get stuck with overrun. I know there's a bond on here, and they can't overrun, but it's just scary to me to commit to building the plant without knowing the future grants.
So I'm having a hard time hearing. I don't know about the rest of you, so I don't know if we just need to get closer to the mic or what.
That would be
Farther
helpful.
away?
Yeah.
Farther
You
away
have to
better?
talk right into it,
Okay.
real close, very, very close.
I mean, for all of us, it's like, even though I'm sitting up here, I'm having a hard time. I'm really concentrating on what's being said. I think this paper that we have in front of us, Kevin, is trying to show how much is spent to date, because that's going to be my questions, right, more on the financials. It's a $40 million grant, which was to build a plant and hook up 2,800 homes originally. And then, of course, as more information was known, it was amended down. But how much have we spent to date of the 40 million?
That's in the highlighted in yellow, $2,664,221.42 is what we have spent to date. We have contracts that will take that to $3,029,637.74. Those are signed contracts. So that number is subtracted out. If you go further down on the sheet, out of the 40 million, you have engineering taken out of that. You have the low bid, which is not a negotiated amount. That's the low bid that we're asking for you to approve and then give us authority to negotiate, because we have some opportunities there to reduce that number. I don't like the term value engineering, but that's the term. We have a contingency of 5%, which is $1.7 million. I don't believe we will need all of that contingency, but it is there. And then we have a total remaining of $832,000, of which 100 or 200,000, I don't have that number yet, will be construction inspections for the 2-year period. So it doesn't leave us a lot of money, depending on what we do with negotiating the contract down. It doesn't leave us money for any line extensions, so those are out of it, but it does leave us enough to get either, we have the projects not yet bid that we still have to do, Main Street and Marquardt lift stations, the south plant closing and the force main to get the south plant closed, and then the Tomoka plant closing and that force main. So that's the total goals of what we're trying to do and get accomplished with the $40 million. I will note, it's a $34 million plant that leaves the town debt-free with a brand-new plant. We are 2 years, I think, left to pay off the plant that we built, that we are paying the debt service on from 20 years ago.
So the 40 million's basically all spent, is what we're saying. With what we spent so far, and then with the estimate for the new plant, that takes up the whole 40 million, and a lot of things that we wanted to do, we're going to have to figure out separately if we can do them or how we do them.
All of the line extensions will be something on a future date with future grants.
And we've applied for grants so far for the lines, and what's the status of those?
So the
Is that another chart?
second page that I provided you was the
Gotcha.
questions that I had from Councilwoman Eberhardt. And so it kind of addresses that. So the grants that we have accepted, anything that have to do with septic to sewer conversion, so I included the Camping Conference Center, because that is a septic to sewer conversion project. So we have the 40 million, we have the SRF funding, 1.879 million, and 600,000. So those are the grants that we have accepted. The Camping Conference Center is under construction. They are covering all of the debt. We don't have any of that debt, and the 40 million has no loan portion of it. That is 100% grant. We have applied for other grants. We've applied for legislative appropriations. We did not receive any of those grants. We have a federal earmark request that is in. We will not know until the spring of 2025 whether we're going to get that or not. That total request, which covers through 2031, is $85 million, and that's an earmark. So the DEP grant cycle runs every year, so we have the opportunity to apply every year. They have told us that they want to see us under construction building things before they're going to stack money, was the term they used. And so I fully expect that we will get additional grants. They've been granting this stuff for 30-plus years. It's not something new, but they will be much smaller unless something very significant like the infrastructure bill passes that sends several $1 billion into Florida. I don't expect that we'll have another $40 million grant, but we will see $5 million grants coming through in the future. So one of the other questions, grants being drafted but not yet submitted. There's DEP grants. There's another direct legislative appropriation that can be done every year. And the same thing, Southwest Florida Water Management Grant. They have grants for reuse lines and connections and other issues. So we will continue to look for other grants. But the $40 million is allocated if you approve the bid tonight.
And does it include land and our people costs? I mean, well, all I'm seeing is the cost spent so far, the $3 million we're talking about, all I'm seeing is the consulting companies. So aren't we able to, the land that we've purchased, the right-of-ways that we purchased, isn't that all allocable to the grant?
So far, we have not used, that's not part of the grant application to buy the land. We bought some right-of-ways, multi-use paths, which we used our reserves to fund. And we have two other small pieces, 50 feet by 50 feet for lift stations that we still have to acquire, and that will be a minor amount.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking down Tangerine, and that's the multi-use path, that purchase of that land, the 30 feet wide.
That has no relevance
was the
to
question?
this. That's a totally different fund.
Well, and that's, I guess, where, so I'm new, right? And I need to get up to speed. And there's a lot of different grants, and it's important that we don't commingle funds. I'm not saying we are, but, you know, each of these is different because they bring a lot of audit, right? You've got federal audits, you've got state audits, so each of these grants has a different type of risk that it brings, and we got to make sure with so many things that are going on right now that we are keeping them all in the right buckets. But again, I'm not in a position right now to agree or disagree because I need to get up to speed, and I'd like, you know, to ask for at least a 1-month delay. And I'd like to sit down, Kevin, I talked to you today, I'd like to get myself up to speed on the grant. I have reviewed the grant, but it's quite a bit of pages, and you know, Councilwoman Eberhardt's bringing up some important points. In the past, I did look at the grant. I also looked at the federal treasury audit requirements because it's COVID monies. So I'm starting to get a lot of questions that I just want to sit down and get the details so that I can satisfy myself from the oath I just took that when I do say yes or no, it's the right decision. And so I know that we granted the pool and camp a 1-month extension, and I'm just asking for the same favor for myself, and maybe some of the other council members are new, that they need to get brought up to speed on what the grant is, what we've done so far, what are the risks that we're putting potentially the town if we go over the 40 million. Because I respect and I hope that we would get additional monies, but if we go over 40 million, does that have to come out of the town somewhere, somehow? because the costs are going to continue to escalate, unfortunately, right, with the inflation taking place the way it is. So that's kind of where I am, is I really want to, I mean, this project is the largest dollar amount this town will ever take. And so I don't take it lightly that we should just approve it without getting into the details. And I also believe that in that 1 month that I'm going to need to get myself up to speed, that we schedule a special meeting with the public. They've asked for it over and over. You know, we'll open up to public comment. They can, I guess, comment if they are satisfied or they would like further details, like I would like further details. So I know that's not what people here want to hear. People here want to hear because of a timeline. But the last thing we want to do on the sizable project like this is jeopardize quality versus doing the right thing for the town.
I will say that I don't have any problem with what we're doing with the 40 million. We, as a council, have discussed this over several months. We've had many presentations, and with the exception of one night, we have not had the attendance like we have tonight. And had we had the attendance that we have tonight, maybe we wouldn't have some of these questions that we have right now. I have full confidence in the staff that we have and Kevin and his abilities to do these things. And there are many references in this contract that says that the town administrator has the opportunity to do this, change this, check this, and I'm fully confident with that. I'm also very unsure about moving this to another month because we are on a timeline. And to go over and over things that we have already been over, I'm sorry, we didn't actually come to you, knock on your door and say you have to come, but it's been publicly noticed, and I don't see any reason why we'd have to go over it again and again.
So my comment was in no way any lack of confidence in Kevin and the staff. I don't have the knowledge, being new and not into the details like others may have, and I'm just asking for that delay as we gave the contract, the bid company that bid, so that I can get involved in some of the details.
I just make one comment on we did not delay the bid opening. We delayed the bid, let me qualify. We delayed the bid opening. We did not delay the bid award. So we originally had a bid opening date of March the 7th, which we delayed to the 29th. They requested another month, which we denied them because we were working backwards on a very tight deadline. And if we don't spend the money, in my opinion, we put the town at risk of having a plant that's not completed and a contract that then we have to pay for and finalize, because once we sign the contract, we start the countdown clock. And that's where we risk having not spent the money, and now we're putting at risk the town's money because we've signed a contract. So that's why we denied the contractor, who was the low bid. The one requesting it was the low bid contractor. He was the one that was, they were the ones that were requesting the delay, and we did not delay this bid award night. So we gave them additional time, which reduced the time that Pannoni had to review the bids to make sure they were all qualified bids. They were all large companies that have done this multiple times, so we're confident in the bid and what we got. And so that's why we did not delay the bid award. That was always been on this meeting, and it's a working backwards. The latest time that we felt comfortable awarding a bid is this month, and that's why that date's there.
So if the cost comes in at 45 million, how do we make up the gap?
If we continue to delay, that's a possibility. I think it's important that we do not delay, and we will figure out a way to bridge that gap, and I'm sure that there will be grants out there to bridge it. And once again, this council has done a lot of research on this to get us to this point, and I think we need to build on what we already have and move forward, because this wastewater treatment plant only gets more expensive, and that's a great way to end up with a $5 million overrun.
I'd like to be clear, I'm not saying I'm against this, but I have too many questions, there are too many open items. Another one is, okay, we build a plant, and let's say it's under 40 million, but we have no additional customers added on to it. And originally, it was the customer base that was going to support the operation of the plant. So then what happens?
Well, we've always said, from the beginning, we've said that we want to get grants for people to be able to hook up to the system when it actually is in place. But we have to understand that we have this window of opportunity to build this wastewater treatment plant, which we are going to need in the town of Lake Placid, whether it's today or down the road. We have many residential projects that are on hold or maybe coming. We're going to have to deal with the sewage at some point. So we have this window of opportunity to build this plant. We've done the research on it. We've gotten to this point. And I think at some point we have to move forward. And you have to understand that not everything's going to be perfect, but we have the many opportunities for our town administrator to take care of things that might be not exactly clear to you right now.
The thing that bothers me is if we let this go and don't do it, they know more about the state funding than I do, but I think it would be rather difficult for us to get more money if we don't spend the $40 million that they're been very gracious to give us to help protect our lakes and our property. So that's something else to think about.
Well, I'd like to ask anybody in the room that's on our current system that is on sewer to raise their hand.
I can't.
I didn't understand.
I'm sorry, everybody in the room that is on the current utility system on sewer, raise your hand.
Anybody currently on sewer, is that what you asked?
She is asking,
Actually, that you're on the sewer system right now.
any current Lake Placid sewer customers is what she's asking for.
Looks like
We have
like
one,
three.
and we
have
have
three.
me.
3.
We have 3.
Okay, who else? Okay.
Oh, Drew.
Okay, so I'm saying that, I have been very outspoken about low pressure. I think all of you know in this room know that, because I am on the low pressure system. This gentleman is not. I don't believe that Drew is on low pressure. I think he's. Yeah. Okay, so we have out of everybody, I mean, these are all the people making decisions, everybody up here, and this is what I'm going to tell you. I think you also know about my passion about the lakes, how hard I've worked most of my life here and other areas to try to preserve our lakes. I will tell you that $40 million for this pristine plant. Right now, we do have a reuse plant. It cleans the water to about 60%. This will clean the water from 90 to 95. And I know you've never been to our wastewater treatment plant, but it sits up there and it looks over the valley of Lake June. And it's in place, and it's there, and it's working fine. But we are about to have to do it. When it was designed in 4 sections, 250 gallons each. So we have maxed out basically now for our first, what they call, in the utility business, I think you call it a train. I don't know why. But in the first part of the train, we have maxed out almost, especially taking in the conference center. What a coup that is. Getting all of that sewage, thank you, Anthony. Anthony here, Haney. They cooperated with the town. We're taking all of that sewage off the lake, cleaning it to the standard we have now. But that's putting a maximum on the system we have at this current time, the first part of the train, which is 1 million gallons. So we're at max at 250,000 gallons. Now we're going to have to build another train. Now, we that are on the system now have been paying for the first system. We had to pay to build it because we were under moratorium. So we built this first part of the system on the backs of the people that are on the sewer system now. If you didn't know that, you've been paying off the loan, plus you paid impact fees if you hooked in. So the impact fees were towards the next part of this train, which is the next piece, there's 4 pieces, is the next 250,000 gallons, okay? We are at that point. We're going to have to build it. We have no grant money. We have $500,000 because not that many people hooked in since we put in the other one. We collectively, right here, these 3 people have been paying for the first loan to even build the first plant, plus we've been paying for the next train. But not that many people hooked in, so we only have $500,000 to build the next train, and we've got to build it. We have no grant to build that next train, which will mean us three will be paying the cost of the next train. Now, of course, unfortunately, Anthony and his group are going to be helping pay for that. But I'm just saying, we have no money to do that. We have no money to build the next train. We have $40 million to go forward, all right? And this is what I see, and I told this when I came back on board. All we can do right now is build this plant. And and yes, we're going to have to get their permission, but let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take massive contributors. Now, if you ask anybody in Southwest Florida Management District, they say everything you put in the ground on this side of the ridge, uniquely. We are unique on the other side of the ridge? No. On this side of the ridge, everything you put in the ground goes straight into the aquifer. What's probably one of the things that are wrong with our lakes is what we're putting in the aquifer. We don't know what's totally wrong with our lakes, but I will tell you this. If we can get a plant that purifies the water, it's going to be a 1 million-gallon plant, which will last us, just like this building will last us, I think, forever, basically. I know my lifetime, but that's not much longer. But I'm just saying, a 1 million-gallon plant for basically free. Even if it went over a few million, it's not going to be near the cost if we have to build the next train of what we have now. We say, no, go away. Now we're going to have to build, us three, because we're going to pay for that. We're going to pay to build the next train because we will have no capacity left. We will be back from square one when we started. Okay, so now we have this money. So even if we went overboard, and I have really looked at this, if say we went over, because I am single mom, 3 kids. I look at every dollar. So I'm saying if we went over, we're still not spending as much. This new section of the plant could cost us $6 million. It could cost us, God only knows. Okay, we have money sitting here ready to take, and I felt like, God, I got to be good for you all the people. Even if we went over, it's still not going to cost us as much as just one little next 250,000 gallons. But this is the real thing I want you to listen to. I am saying, forget hooking people in. And after this, I'm going to make a motion that nobody has to hook in, forced to be hooked in. I'm hoping everybody will vote with me. But I'm just saying, right now, we need to go forward. And what we're going to do is we're going to take mass contributors. Like Tomoka, I checked today, I don't know the South plant. I found out this is what I was told, 363 homes in Tomoka. All of that waste, all that sewage is going to come to this new plant. We're going to try to fit it in this budget. If we don't, we can still do that. But we're not hooking in individual homes. We're taking 363 people's waste and moving it to this plant that's going to clean it between 90 to 95% to put it back down into our aquifer, which is contributing to the problem of our lakes. So just that one contributor. Now we have another contributor at the South plant. We might have to take that one first, depending on how much, but we have all of that wastewater. Forget individual hookups. Let's get these major contributors onto this plant and clean the water. I've identified a couple more that I think if we paid to get them hooked in that are, vacation sites that aren't hooked in. And I mean, if you went and looked at them, you would just cry because their septic is right by the beach, by the lake, and there's 16 units, timeshare, 4 people per unit, 52 weeks out of the year, contributing to that one septic. It's only 1,000 feet from a gravity system. We could concentrate on those things instead of hooking up individual people. I think at that moment in time, right now, that's what we're focusing on. And that's what I'm supporting, and I am going to support going forward with this. And there's a few reasons, again. taking all that wastewater off the aquifer and also not having to build on our own, and me pay for it, the 3 people in here paying for that, to build a new 250-gallon, and then we still have another 250-gallon plant to build and another 250-gallon to plant on our own with no grant money. So this $1 million plant will take care of our future, and it will take care of it in a way that we can stand up and be proud of this. And and I'm very, like I said, I also am concerned, but I do know if we don't get this grant, we're still going to have to spend the money to build another section right now, and then we're going to have to build 2 more. So I'm way over talking. My friends always tell me I way over talk, but I'm just saying, and I'm pleading with you, if we can get this plant to clean our water, I have hope, more hope for our lakes. And after this, I'm going to make a motion that we don't force anybody to hook up.
One last question. You mentioned that the contract would not be signed until the grant was amended.
Right.
I missed the line in here that states that in the resolution.
I didn't hear what she said.
Councilwoman, I didn't hear your question.
Okay. You said that the construction contract would not be signed until we had the approval to amend the grant. And I missed the line in this resolution that states that.
Look at, I'm having trouble hearing as well.
Okay,
but I think
try it
I've
again.
got-
Try again.
Look,
Okay,
well, look at paragraph 5,
okay,
where it says, Mayor Holbrook is authorized to execute and deliver the award of the bid and the wastewater plant construction contract to Poole and Kent, then the word
okay.
after
Okay, there it is. Okay, after the amendment.
conditions.
Okay, after the amendment. All right, there it is. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions of our engineers? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I'll have you stand off to the side. Thank you. At this time, I'll take it to the audience. Yes.
My name is Jack Comley. I live at 607 Sunset Point Drive. My question is, as it stands right now, we don't seem to have the money to connect any additional properties to the new sewage treatment plant, except for maybe the one from the, what's it called, conference center or whatever. Okay. Now, have you done a study on how much it's going to cost to operate that plant? You know, on an ongoing basis, it costs, obviously it costs money. There's electricity, there's chemicals, and I don't know what, there's labor involved. Has a study been done to see how much that's going to cost? I'd say compared to what it's costing you to run the existing plant right now.
We don't have exact dollar figures because it's based on flow. So the more pumps you're running, the more cost you run. So it's hard to say exactly. So if I'm running the 300,000 that I'm doing today, I'm doing it in 3 separate plants. I have 3 times the lab cost. I'll have a third of the lab cost just in the lab. I'll have VFDs on all the pumps and motors, so they're going to be much more efficient than the pumps and motors that I have today on the existing ones. So without adding any additional flow, it's going to be significantly less than what we're spending today to operate 1 plant versus 3 plants. So then it increases as you add flow to the system, then that increases.
Okay, I'm a little confused as to why you're saying it's going to be less. The Tomoka plant, is that one of the ones that you're talking about adding initially? I mean, there has to be some money come from someplace to run that line from their plant to your treatment plant, right? If we've already spent most, if not all, of the $40 million so far, we don't have a grant to extend that line, or do we someplace that I'm not aware of?
As part of the plan to close the Tomoka plant and run the force main. So depending on where we reduce the current bid, and we have a fixed bid, so it's $34 million to build the new plant.
Right.
So if we can reduce that through value engineering, through direct purchase of, which we think we can save well over $1 million on direct purchase and save the taxes on that, then that 34 million will come down, and we think we can get the Tomoka plant done in addition. But those negotiations haven't taken place yet. So that is part of it. In order to close it, we will either use this grant funds or we'll use grant funds in the future. But
Okay, which you don't,
your
there's other,
primary cost of running a wastewater plant is in pumping and aeration, and it's based on the amount of volume that you're running through it. So if I'm running 200,000 gallons versus 400,000 gallons versus 800,000 gallons, those costs all increase because they're pumping and aeration. So if I'm doing less gallons, I'm saving money. If I'm doing it with more efficient motors and pumps, I'm saving money. And if I'm doing less lab tests for every plant, we have to do the same. We're tripling our lab costs because we have 3 separate plants. And so we have triple the lab costs that we will have in doing just 1 plant instead of 3.
okay, but the Tomoka plant, are you paying for the lab tests there right now, or is that, they pay for their own?
They're all part of our wastewater system, so they pay.
Oh, the Tomoka plant is part of your system
their-
now, even though it's not connected to it?
It's part of their monthly fee. As with every customer, those are built into the rates.
Okay. Now, just one more question. Obviously, the new plant is going to be more computer operated, let's say, right?
Yes, is that a
Okay.
question?
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
He wants to know if it's going to
Do
be
you-
computer operated.
Is there a SCADA system that operates the entire plant? Yes.
yeah, okay. And do you have somebody on your staff right now who is capable of, operating that system and maintaining it? Or do you have to hire somebody else eventually to do that? In other words, it's not just a laborer that's going to be
We don't
able
have
to-
laborers at our wastewater plants today. We have SCADA on our water plants.
Okay,
We don't have anybody specific that needs to operate that. So, I mean, the operators operate the SCADA system. If you're talking about somebody that comes and maintains it, that's the contractor that if we have a problem, they will come and maintain it. But our licensed operators at the plants are the ones that will operate the system.
okay, so the water treatment plant operator who operates the SCADA system, he's also qualified to operate the system at the wastewater treatment plant?
Both of our operators are dual licensed water and wastewater.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Pam Fentress, 12373 Lost Lake Drive. I appreciate if the council votes tonight to move forward with the wastewater treatment plant. I do hear what you said tonight about getting up to speed. I guess for me, this is almost like ad nauseum because I attend the utilities meeting, the local planning agency meeting. In each of those meetings, the town administrator and utilities directors gives a utility report months. I mean, in very detailed reports. And we've heard about it I've heard about it for years as an audience member at town council meetings. This has been going on for 20 years with the Lake Placid Camping Conference Center. I looked at the DEP website last Friday. You have a current algae bloom on the Lake Placid. In the last 30 days, you can check and see how many days the different lakes around us. So I appreciate the town for being proactive. This is one piece of the puzzle. You stated before, Mrs. Charles, about septic tanks is just one thing that we can do to help our lakes. It'll be multifaceted. And I appreciate you wanting to take a little bit of time to get up to speed. But this is something if we delay, I've seen it, I've been here, and year after year asking them to move forward. That Camping Conference Center, 4 years, and they had their act together and they were trying to do it. and we delayed, and we delayed. And it makes sense. I'm not, you get $40 million, it slows down the cogs in the wheel. But this has been going on a long time. So I'd like to see us come to resolution, and I appreciate y'all headed in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Ms. Fentress because she's been involved with me with all the lake projects, and she's been an advocate for the lakes for as long as me and probably longer. Thank you.
Oh, let's bring it back. We got a motion and a second. Let's poll the council.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Worley,
Yes.
Councilmember Charles,
No, I need more information.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Well, with the assurance that we'll wait until the amendment is signed. And I guess with your point that if we run over, it's going to cost us anyway, I will give a yes.
Thank you. And I want everybody to know, when we first applied for this $40 million, we really thought it would go a lot further than it did. But it's taken so many years, like Ms. Fincher said, to get to this point, that it's just amazing how much the prices have gone up. But I think by what step we took today, we put Lake Placid in the 22nd century. And DEP will now know that we are serious about protecting our lakes and our property. And I think the $95 million that we have applied for, that we hope we get next year, I believe we'll be one of the first ones to get that money. I really do, because they have bent over backwards to help us every step of the way. And I just can't believe that they would give us the $40 million and then let us go down the tube. So I just believe there's a lot bigger, better things coming for Lake Placid. I want everybody to know I'm proud to be your mayor, and I have been for the past 18 years, and I'm just gonna, whatever I do, it's gonna be in the best interest of this town. And I just want y'all to know that. So I appreciate what council did tonight, and again, I think it's a step in the right direction for our great town, and thank you.
I'd like to make a motion, like I said I would. I'd like a motion that the people are not going to be forced to hook into this system.
I didn't hear any of that.
I make a motion that our citizens will not be forced to hook into this system on the sewer.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and discussion from the podium.
I agree in theory to what you're saying, Ms. Worley, but I think that the legislature will not allow us to do that. Doesn't the legislature, Mr. Harris, say that once it's available, and if your septic fails, that you have to hook up if it's available?
But right now, it's not available, so.
I'm pretty sure that's in the legislature.
It is.
Okay,
I'm not sure the exact wording, but yeah,
It's something like
it's
that.
something to that effect.
yes. So I agree. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do, but I don't think that the state legislature will allow us that opportunity.
I mean, I don't think it would hurt to.
Yeah, I was thinking it said something that 12 months after we make the decision. So it's probably worth looking into, seeing
know the
exactly.
exact wording, but
Yeah, I think some of the research we did earlier was, because there was always this confusion, right, of when do you hook up, and you have to hook up, or 12 months, and I thought it was somewhere 12 months after we made the decision, you have to hook up.
But I thought it was 12 months after your system failed, but that doesn't make sense either, so, no, that's probably not right.
Because I know some towns have done where if your system fails, yes, you have to hook up. Second is you can choose to hook up right away. And then the third was if you sell your home, could be a stipulation that the new owner needs to hook up. So I thought those were options that would be available to us to make that decision. But we're looking into and getting us exactly what we should be aware of.
If I may, the statute I believe, turns on availability.
Can't, in the microphone for,
The statute turns on availability of the sewer service, meaning when it is at the residence. So after the line is put in, then the 12-month period begins to run. But at this point, I don't recall any resolution where the council has addressed compelling hookups. I will also tell you that my experience with the state and that particular law is it has zero teeth. No agency of the state compels hookups. The law is there. I've not seen it enforced, if that matters. And this council has not voted on enforcing or forcing hookups at all. No. Simply trying to get money.
Well, we've got a motion and a second, so. Is there any other discussion from the podium? Seeing none, we'll take it to the audience. Hearing none, poll the council.
Councilmember Worley?
Yes.
Councilmember Charles?
yes,
Councilmember Hayes?
No,
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
so, excuse me, could you then read what the motion was that was just passed?
Citizens not to be forced to connect to sewer system.
I'm sorry,
The citizens not to be forced to connect to the wastewater system.
thank you. I just want an addendum that the reason I said no is I don't believe it is necessary. I think the state law is going to cover that. I just don't think it's
Well,
a
and-
necessary motion.
And it might, but at least the council made a step towards that.
I'm still no.
Okay.
Okay, my next,
Number two.
number two is our financial software is by a company called ADG, and we are moving that to a cloud service. And as opposed, right now, it's sitting on a server here at the town hall, and for better security reasons, safer remote access, and to reduce some of our on-site vulnerability, we would like to move that to, we are moving that to the cloud service. I bring it up because it is a budget. It will end up being a budget amendment. It's a $3,000 per year change. It's within my spending authority, but we wanted to make sure the council saw that and was aware of it, and if they had any comments on that cloud service.
I'll just make the comment that I think that's a good move. Based on what the sheriff's office went through recently, we don't want to go there.
Did they ever get that straightened out?
Yes, sir, they did. but
Finally?
It's been a while.
It's taken a long time.
Wow.
And yes, this will definitely be a step in the right direction.
Yes, and there have been several counties, several sheriff's offices, several school districts that have been subject to ransomware. I've sat on several presentations on that and talked to people that have been the subject of that. So along with that, another item is we have a new IT provider. The person that retired after doing our IT for years retired. We tried another local vendor. He was not providing the security and the backup that we needed. And so we have gone with the second bidder that was in our RFP that we put out for IT services. It's a company called VC3. They do over 1,500 municipalities across the state and into Canada. So they are experts at protecting municipals from hacking and ransomware. So this is approximately an $18,000 per year increase, which will go the full amount. We only have a partial amount this year, but it will be an $18,000 per year increase, and that'll go into next year's, on next year's budget line item. But it will also be a budget change for this year. Again, the partial year was within my spending authority, so it's an information item. Wanted to make sure you're all aware of it, and so that you're covered on that. And that go-live date is actually on the 10th, which is Wednesday. with VC3. So we should be in a lot better shape. They did discover in there, we have a PC that's still on a Windows 7 unit that we need, that's no longer supported, that we need to change, and we have a server that we will take offline and move that. It does our main domain controller, whatever that means, and that'll move on to the server that is a much newer server that the ADG software is currently on. So those two items. I do have one other item. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go to the, and that's it on VC3. We have the Lake Placid Police Department that is still on track. I think we're about 95% plans. They're getting close to done. We're working through the plan development review that we have to do, concurrency that we still have to be responsible for. So that's gone out to all of the agencies, including the county, and to make sure we're following our own rules, as it were. And so we're working through that process with our planning department and the county and all the other agencies that are responsible for that. So we're still on track. We should be fine for a July bidding of that project. And if anybody has any questions on that.
Thank you.
Was there ever any consideration about buying an existing structure and remodeling it?
That was before my time, so I couldn't answer that question.
One thing I wasn't going to bring up until next meeting, I think there is a way that we can all go with the sunshine law and look at all of our structures, but there is another structure. But I'm just saying, I think we as a group, I mean, I did that, but you have not looked at all of our buildings.
Yeah, I did see the police department. I did see it, that I acknowledge the police station is falling down.
Okay, well, we have a new building, which I've never seen, over that we just bought with the park over there on Dow Hall. We have like facilities, just the bathroom facility is around that I just think that we should all go see. But we also have the existing fire station that we lease to the county. It's a big building. We're going to have to do something. They keep talking about building a new fire station. When they're gone, that's our building. Okay, so there's a lot of facilities. There's also a facility at Lake June Point. I haven't been in there in years. It's where the concession stand is for the ballpark. And there's an upstairs where there's meeting rooms that I don't know if you've all seen that, but I'm saying maybe we should find out how we can just go. I'm sure we can't talk, something with the sunshine law, but we could all go. Maybe we could go. I've heard you can do that as a group. I know Swiftmud came here and did that, and we went on the bus and they ate lunch together, and we did that, and there was no problem with the sunshine law. But I think it would be good to see for all of us now,
So,
welcome.
so you're saying that there could be alternatives with remodeling an existing structure?
I think we should just know what we have. I mean, as a council.
I can add a little bit to that. First of all, that ship has sailed. Secondly, that we have looked at other structures, and it's very difficult to remodel a structure to the standards that are required for us to achieve accreditation for our police department. The security alone for the evidence department, the evidence section, would usually preclude any remodeling. And I can tell you that having had 20 years experience in the law enforcement sector and doing security surveys in this regard, and the sheriff's office built their whole new building. And if they spent that kind of money on a whole new building, believe me, we looked at a number of sites in the town of Sebring to see if we could not have to build a whole new building, and it did not work.
Well, I was the one instead of putting,
This building has been voted on. The designs the basic designs have been seen, have been approved. We have Carl and Cool and Cobb that is doing the design. The plans, as I recall, are completed. I think Kevin has a set of plans, if I understand that correctly, and that they're in the process now of getting the permits and moving forward.
It's in permitting.
So it's in permitting. So I appreciate what you ladies are talking about, but I'm afraid that number one, that we've already made that decision, been over those opportunities over the past year, and we are where we are.
You weren't on the council when when they wanted to move, and the police chief wanted to move over to Town Hall. In the last meeting we had there, the roof was still leaking on my head. I need to bring an umbrella to the council meetings because the roof was still leaking on my head on the old Town Hall. And they wanted to move over there, and I am the one that said we don't need to move again into a building that's substandard. So I am the one.
Yeah,
But I am
exactly.
saying, I just want to say, I think that the town council needs to know and look at all the buildings we have, look at all of our assets, so we can make good decisions for the town. That's it. But I would like to do
already
that.
done that, and that decision was made. The decision has already been made. We looked at that. We've already done that.
Is it fully
I
funded?
believe we can do a
Kevin?
tour if,
Yes, it is fully funded.
Kevin, do we have all the money to build?
yes.
Yes, we do.
That was approved when they decided to go out to design. The funding was approved.
You know, it's just, I don't know what it is with the microphones tonight.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's worse
Yeah,
tonight than
it's
that.
really,
There we go. I'll get closer. Anyway, yes, all of the funding was approved when they went out for the design of the police station. So it is
so
funded.
we have all the grants, already, all the grants are approved to build it?
It is a combination of ARPA grant funds and infrastructure reserve that we have of our own money. So it's a combination.
And how much is the total?
I believe it's about 1.3 million.
I think it was 1.3. It was 1.3 or 1.4, something like that. Yeah. But we do have it.
But if we could save some money, that would be a bonus for the town.
That ship has sailed.
The ship has sailed. What does that mean?
That means that this has already been discussed and approved and moved forward.
Is it out for bid, you're saying?
It's already, no, it's not out for bid, but the designs are coming, and we expect to put it out for bid in July. That's what Kevin was saying earlier.
So until it's out for bid, it could be discussed?
It can be, there can be more bids, but we have the design is already here. So I don't, we can't do a redesign, but we can do, when it goes to bid, anybody can bid.
Yeah, I just think Councilwoman Worley's kind of piqued my interest there, that if there's something else that might be available, I think that that's worth taking a look at. Not to delay it, but
We
just to
took
take a look.
at that. We've already been down that road.
Well, there's a lot of small parks all around town, and I was thankfully shown some of the new structures we have at those parks. But we have I mean, I think that, I don't know how many people in here know what the town owns. And I don't think most of the council members that have sat here have ever really taken a total tour of everything the town has assets, even including our south plant, you know, the Tomoka, where things are, what the possibility, I mean, we don't have to talk about that. I'm just saying, like, if we took in, and I'm not so sure how feasible this is, like the Tomoka plant, if we do get this money and we can take that untreated, I mean, it's treated, but not to the standard of reuse, and bring that down here, we might have some available land to sell. You know, that will be abandoned. So, I mean, there's possibilities all over the place, and I just think we need to know what our assets are. That's all I'm saying.
One of the big items that when we talked about this, and we had looked at the sites that we have, but one of the big items was that it was the wish of the town council that everything be on one property, that we have the police station and town hall and eventually a fire station all at this one central location. Because I was one that wanted the police station downtown, and I was defeated on that, and I finally came along to approving the site for the police station here in an effort to move that project along. So as you know, Ms. Worley, we've been looking at a new police station for 10 years, I believe, or more, and I believe if there was a structure that could have been remodeled, we would have found it by now.
I've got one final item. We do need to, the council needs to select a replacement for the TDC, Tourist Development Council, to replace Charlie Wilson to fulfill the rest of his term. So if you'd like to have that discussion amongst yourselves and select a member that would like to be appointed to that, the Tourist Development Council Board.
I was told that we're going to have a reorganization meeting next month, and that will include also, I didn't remember that one. I did remember that we need to appoint a liaison to the regional utility. We're going to need to elect a vice mayor. So I don't know what else we need to do, but that's what I was told. Our normal reorganizational meeting, because I did question that, is in May. So that's what I was told.
And just for clarification, you are correct. That's the reorganizational meeting. This is a term that the town has, that Charlie's filling at the end of his term. I believe it goes to Avon Park. I may be mistaken on that, but I believe it rotates amongst the county. So this is a separate item that when you reorganize, you can push it to May. There's not an issue with that. I don't know when their next meeting is, so they just may miss one meeting. But just that this is an item that the council needs to do to select for this term, because once it's done, it'll be several years before we're back on the TDC.
Is there a job description?
Not that I know of.
Well, what
You
is it?
you attend the Tourist Development Council meetings, and
So
you
no
vote on-
skills are needed, is that what we're saying?
I was on the TDC for 3 years, and they said, the Visitors Bureau was in effect then. So they said, all you do is you pick up you come every 3 months, you stay an hour, the Visitors Bureau does all the work, and you just approve what they do. As soon as I joined, the Visitors Bureau went upside down. We had to reorganize and redo everything for the TDC. But typically, it's not that intense, but I did it for 3 years. And it's basically going and representing the town, and our tourist development areas are, what we have down here, promoting our town. We worked on trying to, Joy and her husband allowed us to come into their home when we wanted to try to get a movie down here, because movies make tons of money. And we went out and looked at a fish camp, and then they were nice enough to say they would move out of their home and let us have a movie there. Yeah, so it's
Thank
good.
goodness,
Yeah.
we weren't selected, thank goodness.
Yeah, she wasn't selected. But I'm just saying, there's, the TDC is when you're on that, you're there to say, come to Lake Placid. What can we do in Lake Placid? Can we have that tournament here? Can we have that softball tournament here? That's what they do there.
Kevin, could it wait till next meeting when we have to do the other appointments? And that way we can share the work?
Certainly, y'all can divide it up and work on it for next month.
Is there a meeting or something that has to be done this month? Is that?
Except, I think the worst case is you'll miss a meeting, but that's the worst thing that'll happen. So I think it's fine, as long as I've already told them, yes, we are interested in having somebody will be appointed to fill our term. We didn't want to turn that over to Avon Park and give them the opportunity to vote early, particularly when we have a pickleball request coming up that will be supplemental to our grant that we received, or $200,000 grant. So we're going to need additional money for our pickleball courts, and we want to make sure our representatives there supporting it. So, and the final thing I have, just real quickly for the new members, and I'm just going to ask my directors to stand up, as some of you have already met them, but Rachel Osborne's the finance director. Okay, Harry Durbano is facilities and Lake June Park. Alan Kiefer does public works. Dennis Murray is our new engineer. Chief Mark Snyder, yes. And our planner, thank you very much, Dana, is here with us. So that's all of our directors. Anyway, I just wanted y'all to put a name with a face. So that's, oh, and our clerk, who you already all know. So, yes, I knew you all know the clerk
We
already.
can't forget our clerk.
No, and our clerk. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, this time I'll take it to the audience. Any comments? Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. There are a couple of things I'd like to have on the
Well,
agenda.
I'm going to bring it back now, and I'm going to let you guys talk right now. And I just wanted to give the audience a chance first, okay? Nobody there? So at this time, I'm going to go to the council members and let you go first.
Okay, a couple of things I'd like to have on the agenda for next month is to discuss the CRA arrangement. Previously, it was composed of all council members, and I would like to discuss having people who are trained in urban development, urban planning as part of the CRA. And I'd like to discuss whether or not we can change the CRA. Right now, everything is for infrastructure. I'd like to have some of the funds diverted to the business facades, like, for example, Sebring is doing a project, not the HGTV one, but their CRA is helping with a business. Of course, I think there should be a council liaison for the CRA, even though other people are involved. I'd also like to put on the agenda a discussion regarding the status of the tower, and possibly get together a working group, whatever sunshine will allow, so we can get that cleaned up. I have a couple questions then about the pipe bursting now, that the businesses affected should be notified of the impact and the time schedule. And I'm concerned about that impacting the Caladium Festival.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said about Caladium Festival.
Okay, as far as the pipe bursting project?
No, I got that.
Okay, so that the business owners are informed of the schedule and what they know what impact it may have on them.
Oh, I see, okay.
And then also tied with the scheduling for the Caladium Festival in July, so we know that it's not going to affect that.
Okay.
And then one other item is I'd like to know what the, I'm not sure what your titles exactly are, but the schedule and the planning of what will be done or what should be done to prep the town for the Caladium Festival, cleaning the streets, pressure washing and so forth. So if you could have that ready for the next meeting, I appreciate that. It'd make me rest easier to know you're doing something. And I think that was it.
Okay. Colleen?
All the way over here. So first off, I'd like to thank everybody for their confidence in myself, and I'm certain Joy feels the same, voting us into council. If you don't know, my background is finance and accounting from a Fortune 50 company. So a lot of my questions are going to be related to cost budgets, internal controls, and audit. So I'm going to be working with Rachel to get myself up to speed on that too. And then I guess I'd like to put on the next agenda, if you allow me, a summary of the feedback that we got from the public. So as you know, Joy and I ran a coalition campaign, and we knocked on, and I'll have the summary of that, but there are 1,135 voters, and I think we covered over 800 of them. We knocked on a lot of doors, and I think it would be of interest for the council to hear a lot of the feedback that was given to us and a lot of items that people are interested in so that we can determine as we go into next year's budget if there's things that we should consider for the public. So I'll be glad to summarize that in a way, Kevin, work with you that, I think it would be of great interest, and people are really looking forward to, having their feedback be discussed and considered.
Okay. Nell?
Well, I'd like to welcome the two new council people on our council. Thank you for being here. Thank you for running. And I apologize, I always have my back to you, Colleen. I mean, no disrespect. I can't hear if I don't see. And anyway, today is not a good day with my ear anyway, but I think one of the things we all have to keep in mind as as council people is we need to keep the best interests of all of the residents of Lake Placid as our primary focus. And I think that summary of what you folks found when you were in the field would be very helpful. Sometimes we think we hear it all and we don't. And we don't knock on that door and we don't hear what people really want or what they have to say. It's easy, however, to just focus on our own neighborhoods. And it's imperative that we think through the decisions that that are made by this council and how they will affect everyone, not just your own neighborhood. But there are a lot of people who live in our town, in the town limits, especially around downtown area, and they've lived there for a very long time, and we never see them in council. And I think sometimes they feel they're not welcome, but they certainly are. And we can't just service those that live in the particular subdivisions. We have a whole town to consider, and we need to think about everyone. We also must keep in mind that we're planning for our future, the future of our town. And that includes residential growth, as much as my husband is probably turning over in his grave because he was not for that. But we can't say it's not going to happen, because it is going to happen. And also, we have to understand that with this residential growth, we have to have the infrastructure and the business opportunities that are going to support that. So we have many more things on our plate on this council. And we have, in addition to the sewer, we have a sign ordinance that we have to deal with. And don't throw anything at me, Dana. We have the new police station is coming along. We have rising costs to operate, materials, insurance, everything. So we have a lot on our plate, but I feel like we have the council that can handle it. Thank you.
Deborah?
Happy to be here, happy to serve you. I want to welcome our new council members and our existing council member. So anyway, I just, I think we've got a good team all around with all our staff and everything. So I'm looking forward to the future. I feel very, very positive. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I want to thank the two of you. Appreciate you stepping up and taking the position. For years, we've had I think, a rather nice family up here. And I just hope we can continue to do that, work as one, and just make Lake Placid bigger and better. So let's look to the future and move on. And I hope all of you out there kind of agree with me, but we'll hear from you in the future if not. So, Kevin, you got anything else? Mr. Attorney?
Not a word.
Is there anything else to come before Town Council? If not, meeting adjourned.